that magical time of year again. Academy Awards season. We all get to come together and bitch and whine about how awful Hollywood is. This year they nominated 9 movies for Best Picture, and I saw all of them and I'm about to rank them and give my thoughts on them. Which one are overrated and which one deserves to win? Let's find out. And coming in dead last is Oscar bait bullshit. I mean Ford v Ferrari. So Ford v Ferrari is kind of weird because there's a lot of good things about it. It's one of those movies that I feel conflicted on because on one hand there's the cinematography and the great driving sequences and the really great acting, and on the other hand there's the story, which is really lame, and I don't think it works unless you already care about cars. And look, I don't give a shit about cars, and maybe if I did, I would like this movie, but I really don't give a shit about cars. So I'm going to give this one a C+. If it won Best Picture, I'd be mad. In number 8, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by Quentin Tarantino. In my opinion, Quentin Tarantino was snubbed for Best Picture when his 2009 film Inglourious Basterds lost Best Picture to this boring piece of nothing called The Hurt Locker. Needless to say, I have respected Tarantino for a long time, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood continues his legacy of great, snappy dialogue with cool characters who constantly eat, smoke, and have the occasional fit of hyper-violence. This film is great, but it's weird because it doesn't really have a plot. It's like its funny bits are really funny, and it's like you're watching a bunch of legendary A-list Hollywood actors fuck around for 2 hours, and honestly it's really entertaining in that aspect. But on the other hand, it feels really inconsequential. Like if you never saw this movie, I wouldn't really blame you for it. And don't get me wrong, I like this movie. I just wouldn't want to see legendary Hollywood A-list actors fucking around for 2 hours win an Oscar. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give it a B. At number 7, I have Little Women. Little Women is written and directed by Greta Gerwig and stars Saoirse Ronan. In my opinion, Lady Bird, which was also written and directed by Greta Gerwig and also starred Saoirse Ronan, was snubbed for Best Picture in 2018 when it lost to the fish fucking movie, and I am still mad. Needless to say, I was thrilled to see Gerwig and Ronan working together again. It's clear that they have a lot of chemistry between the two of them. They work so well together. What's so great about Little Women is how developed and acted the characters are. You really get to understand what each character wants out of the world and what their hopes and dreams are, and whether or not they get it is up to the movie. Saoirse Ronan is my favorite actress of all time, and she's amazing in this movie, but it's not just her. There's a great supporting cast with Timothée Chalamet, Meryl Streep, and Florence Pugh giving great performances, all just enriching these characters. It's similar to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where there's no one definite plot. It's more just how these characters feel at this time. And in that aspect, it's really great. And I know it has a few cheesy moments, but I still liked it despite the cheesy moments. It's weird because I want these people working behind this movie to have Best Picture because they were great in Lady Bird and Lady Bird deserved it. I would be happy if this movie won Best Picture, but it's not necessarily my favorite of the bunch. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give it an A-. At number 6, we have The Irishman. Martin Scorsese's newest epic is far and away the best mob movie I've ever seen. This film shows how Frank Sheeran's life is affected by the mob life for 40 years. There's plenty of moments where the screen is bursting with tension that you would expect from a typical mob movie. The performances from Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci are out of this world. A lot of people seem to be refusing to watch this movie because of the runtime, and like, look, I get it. 3.5 hours for one movie is a hike. And yeah, there are times when you can really feel the runtime and it starts to drag, but this is all on purpose. The movie doesn't end where a typical mob movie would end. It keeps going to show you this is what the lives that these people lead are, and this is the aftermath of what happens in a typical mob life. And I thought that was beautiful. I would not be disappointed if this won Best Picture, and I'm going to give The Irishman an A. At number 5 is Jojo Rabbit. Now, if you've never seen or heard of Jojo Rabbit, it's about a young Hitler Youth kid who has an imaginary friend, Hitler. I know, it's weird. It's a weird thing to get onto and jump on board with, and this movie could have gone so wrong in so many different directions, but it was so funny. This movie is at its best when it commits to the absurdity of its humor, and it does it so well. I was laughing my ass off consistently. This movie took a huge risk in its subject matter, and I think it paid off, and I appreciate that the Academy respected that instead of just shunning it because it's potentially controversial. This movie is really funny and has some really great dramatic bits. The performances across the board are great. Sam Rockwell was awesome. Taika Waititi was so funny. Rebel Wilson, who I usually hate, was actually hilarious in this movie. I love how all the side characters come back in interesting ways and how they affect the story and the main character, and I'm gonna give Jojo Rabbit an A. At number 4 is Joker. I don't get it. When this movie came out, and until the Academy Award nominations came out, everyone unanimously on the internet agreed that this movie was a masterpiece and was spectacular and amazing, and now that it has 11 Oscar nominations, apparently it's overrated and is a one-dimensional bullshit movie. Guys, make up your mind. A movie isn't better or worse because of how many nominations it has. I liked this movie before and I like it now. I love the acting from Joaquin Phoenix devolving into madness. I love the story of Arthur Fleck. I think it's gritty and realistic. It's like this movie just heard every complaint I've ever had about a comic book movie and just fixed it. If more blockbusters were like this, I would be seeing more blockbusters in the theater. I love this movie. I'm glad that it's getting the recognition it deserves, and I'm gonna give it an A+. At number 3, we have Parasite, directed by Bong Joon-ho. Parasite was such a surprise to me because I don't usually watch foreign language film, but I was really pleasantly surprised to see one as engaging and funny as this one. Parasite just has such a great sense of character because it shows these poor families and how they feel being poor and what they're willing to do getting out of it. The tension in this movie is built from not necessarily stakes that the audience members feel, but stakes that are real to the characters in the film, and I think it was awesome. There were so many moments where I was on the edge of my seat. I was gripping my fists because the tension was so well built up. Cinematography was excellent. The editing was amazing. This is one of the best films of the year, and I'm really glad it's nominated for Best Picture, and I'm gonna give Parasite an A+. At number 2, we have 1917, maybe the most exciting movie nominated this year. 1917 is a World War I story directed by Sam Mendes, and it is fucking incredible. Birdman won Best Picture back in 2015 after it was edited to look like the film was done in one continuous shot, and Sam Mendes took this concept to a war film, which was visually stunning. Birdman was great, but I think 1917 is even better. The film has the best cinematography I think I've ever seen in a war movie. Just the way it was shot was so gorgeous. You could pause the movie at any point and screenshot it and make it your screensaver. It's just, oh my god, it's worth seeing just for the cinematography alone. Every frame is gorgeous. It honestly must have been a nightmare to shoot this, because if you think about it, there's so many long takes, and if one extra does something wrong, then they need to redo the entire take, and that must have happened so many times. I can't even imagine how hard this was for all the actors and cinematographers and the director, everyone involved. This movie is tied with The Lighthouse for Best Cinematography of the Year for me. The action scenes were raw and scary. You see so many scenes where there's a location that you just know something bad has happened here, and it does such a great job of that. This is far and away one of the best war films ever made, and I would be thrilled if it won Best Picture, and I'm gonna give this one an A+.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
And my pick to win Best Picture in 2020 Academy Awards is Marriage Story, directed by Noah Baumbach. This film follows the story of two people going through a divorce and how it affects them mentally, legally, financially, how it affects their child and their own relationship. Marriage Story has not only the best character writing of the year, but it has some of the best character writing I've ever seen in a film. Each character has such fine attention to detail that they genuinely feel like a real person. Furthermore, this is easily the best acted film of the year. Adam Driver gives my favorite performance of all year, and Scarlett Johansson is also Oscar worthy. They're just so restrained throughout the whole film because most of it is them trying to hold themselves together in front of other people. Meanwhile, you could tell that their insides are being torn up because of how emotional they are. This movie has my favorite scene of the year when they come to a head and start arguing. You can kind of expect a movie like this to do that, but the way it builds up to it is so fantastic because you just understand that both of them are well-intentioned people that just made mistakes in the relationship, and honestly, everyone can sympathize with that. I don't mean to sound like this movie is a constant dread because it's also just really, really funny. All the jokes landed for me. I think it's the funniest movie of the year. Honestly, even though there are sad moments, there are also really, really funny moments that make you like these characters even more. I love just how much love and care was put into this movie. I love it so much. I've seen it twice now, and I think it's amazing. It's my favorite movie of the 9 nominated for Best Picture, and I'm gonna give it an A+. So if you can't tell already, I'm actually really, really pleasantly surprised with the nominations this year. Of the 9 movies nominated, I like 8 of them, and of those 8, 7 of them I would be happy with winning, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to walk away from this Academy Awards feeling pretty happy. But honestly, I want to talk about some snubs. I think The Lighthouse and The Farewell were snubbed for like everything. The Lighthouse was most critics' favorite movie of the year, and it only got 1 nomination for cinematography.
That's the trouble with you. That's the trouble with you. With you! With you! No! No!
It should have been nominated for Best Picture, could have been nominated for Best Director, Best Supporting Actor with Willem Dafoe, and Best Actor from Robert Pattinson. Editing, score, all that stuff. I think The Lighthouse should have been nominated for tons of things.
You're fond of me.
Best Picture.
Say it. Say it.
Similarly, with The Farewell, I think Awkwafina should have been nominated for Best Actress. The movie should have been nominated for Best Picture. Lulu Wang could have been nominated for Best Director. And speaking of Best Director, I also think Greta Gerwig should have been nominated for Best Director. That seems to be like the snub of the year that everyone's talking about. When it comes to Best Actor, I would really like to see Adam Driver win it for Marriage Story, but it looks like Joaquin Phoenix is going to win for Joker. As long as it's one of those two, I'll be happy, but I'd really rather Adam Driver win. With lead actress, I would be thrilled if Scarlett Johansson or Saoirse Ronan won. My pick is ScarJo. Even though Saoirse Ronan is my favorite actress, I would just love it to go to either of them, even though it looks like Renee Zellweger is going to win. For Best Supporting Actor, I don't know. I don't really care about this category this year. Joe Pesci. Fuck it. Joe Pesci is my pick. Supporting Actress, I would really like ScarJo, Florence Pugh, or Laura Dern to win. I think Laura Dern's gonna win, but I don't know. I don't really care that much. And that's all the ones that I give a shit about. So honestly, let me know what you think about the Academy Award nominations this year. I really hope that they don't give it to the wrong movie. One thing that a lot of people have been complaining about in recent years is that the movies were too political, and I don't think what they mean is that the movies were too political. I think what they mean is that the story in a lot of those movies that were nominated just kind of paused in the middle of it so that the director can seemingly lecture you about his political view, and that was really annoying to people. And this year, although the movies are political, they're still political, there aren't really any scenes where the stories just kind of end and take a dead stop just to explain to you about politics. And I think that's a great thing. I think that the Academy Awards are going in a good direction with that. Given the positive reception of Ricky Gervais's speech at the Golden Globes, I think that maybe a lot of people in Hollywood are also sick of the politicization of it. So who knows? Maybe this is a sign of good things to come, or maybe this year's a fluke. We'll see. Anyways, let me know what you think about this video and the Academy Awards in general, and goodbye.